Hello, everybody. Welcome to day number 74. Today, I want to share with you guys that I'm feeling quite ungrounded. This morning, about 2, 3 in the morning, I had a massive crown chakra activation, or you could call it a spiritual download, where I just had so much energy come really flooding into me, and it was super overwhelming at first, and it was just so much. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you can relate. There was just so much energy in my head, and I wasn't really able to go back to sleep. And it's interesting, this crown chakra opening, or as my teacher would say, being flooded with grace. As this happened at 3 in the morning, as it was happening, I could feel that it was impersonal, not for me, just to come through, to integrate, and then to be of service, right? That's what all of this awakening is for all of us. It's to ultimately be of service to the one, to the collective, to your fellow brothers and sisters. And prior to going to sleep, I was really deep in prayer with God, with the Divine Mother, asking to help me to surrender, to become more of a conduit, more of a vessel for their love, their peace, their joy, their wisdom, and just asking to really help me open to their flood of grace, to flood my being with grace so that I can be of service, so that I can be a divine instrument for you, God. Just deep in a prayer like that, and really asking Source to... So I had my radio interview today, and I was asking Source last night, speak through me as me, just giving the radio interview to God, and just saying, help me to stay out of the way as much as possible, and you just do the interview. This is your interview, God. Just same with everything, This is this is the God, the Divine Source's YouTube channel, the blog. Every session I have with a client, I give it to God, and I ask God to speak through me. And so I was doing that. I was really deep into that movement, and I fell asleep in a really good place. I had integrated so much unworthiness from the day before, as you guys watched. And I was really excited for the interview, and I was really feeling deeply connected in prayer, just feeling held, And then at 3 in the morning, so much energy, more energy than I've dealt with on this whole 74-day journey. I mean, it really, for a moment, took me to my edge, psychologically, where I really had to come into the body, and I really had to let go of thought and let go of what the mind was, because the mind was really having its resistance a little bit, like, wow, this is too much, I can't handle this. That's what the mind was saying. But of course, this has happened so many times now. I knew everything was fine, and I just came into my heart, came into my gut, came into my body, found my breath, and I just breathed through it. And this morning, I just got my hands in the garden, planted a bunch of seeds, got my hands in the mud, also did it this afternoon. And all of this energy that came into my body, when it first started in the crown, I was starting to feel really physically ill when I woke up, because it was really kicking up a bunch of my older density, a bunch of these old grids. It really felt like old, dense grids were just coming up and falling away. And I was just sitting there feeling them come up, and they, because all this light came in, and it's almost like the light needed to clear room for itself, right? That's why it felt, I really feel that's why it felt so stuck in my crown for so long today and through last night. And so I was feeling these grids come up, and just layer after layer, just so dense, and I was feeling achy, cold, nauseous. I couldn't eat. I just felt weak, and I was just really, the mind was worrying because I had this radio interview in it was at noon today, and I woke up at, I got out of bed at 6, and I was like, geez, in 6 hours, I have a radio interview and I'm feeling like this. And I just remember standing in the shower and just finally accepting that, I might have to do my the radio interview completely ungrounded, completely feeling ill and nauseous, completely disconnected, unintegrated, with all kinds of craziness going on in the thought space, because that's what happens when we have massive crown chakra openings or activations. It really kicks up a lot of the density in the mind, a lot of the things that are in separation or judgment in the mind, and it kicks those up because they're going to fall away, but as they're being kicked up, it can be really intense to experience. And so I was like, once again, this interview is yours, God. However you want this to go, it's going to go. I trust you, God, and I'm just going to show up for the interview, and whatever happens, that's fine. And it also gave me I had this deep feeling like this interview's already happened. The outcome's already been determined. And you are just going to live the experience of it, whether you're going to say it's whatever kind of story you want to make out of the experience. It's already happened on so many multidimensional levels. So once I just surrendered to that aspect, to that feeling of it's okay if I go to the interview feeling like this, no big deal. I'll get through it and it's fine. Once I surrendered to that, what happened is I stopped resisting the feelings of heaviness, the feelings of density, the low vibration that I was experiencing. And I stopped worrying about, am I going to feel good enough in time? Because, we want to feel our best when we're doing new things, when we're walking into the unknown, right? And the thing is, you don't want to cling to I have to feel a certain way, because then you're going to resist stuff that might be coming up right before you're about to take that new expansive step. And that's only going to, what you resist persists, right? So what you really want to do is, yes, give yourself the best opportunity. Meditate, do yoga, eat healthy, get rest, drink water, right? For any new endeavor you're going into, but surrender to how you're feeling going into it. And if you're feeling like I was this morning, like literally awful, and I was even thinking this is probably the worst I felt in this whole 74-day journey, and of course it's right before this new opportunity that I care a lot about. And then I planted a bunch of seeds, got my hands dirty, it was helping, but the energy still felt stuck up here. And it's like, I don't know if you've had this, when you have too much energy up here and it's just not integrating into the body, you feel like you can't breathe, right? Like you can't get a breath below the heart. Like your breath is just like constricted to right here. And it's one of the most uncomfortable ascension awakening symptoms that I've personally experienced. And I used to experience it all the time because my ascension experience was really a top-down type of ordeal. And this morning, this huge activation, all this energy that came flooding into me, it took me back to those times when I was really symptomatic and could barely breathe some days. And I just was like, gosh, this is so uncomfortable. Where's this prana? And so, I'm so used to having such good prana that it was it was frustrating. And I was resisting it a little bit. Like, gosh, really? I got to feel like this right before this interview that I'm so excited about and simultaneously very nervous about. So I sat down and I did my meditation, and it was excruciatingly uncomfortable at first to sit with all of this density coming up that the opening had really kicked up for me to feel it and really see it and allow it to heal and integrate. And I could literally feel the energy just slowly going down and integrating into my body. And it was like kicking up all kinds of childhood memories, all kinds of things of past wounds and past traumas and experiences I've had that were really stuck deep inside of me. And that usually doesn't happen for me when I meditate. I usually can't identify where a pain is coming from or where, bad feelings coming from. I don't want to say bad. No feelings are bad, right? But you know what I mean. I can't really identify when I'm healing the trauma within me, like where it was coming from. But today I could, in a deep way, very precisely and vividly. And it was like, whoa, okay, almost like reliving that trauma, but from a higher perspective, and healing that trauma within me, because that's what this energy needed. The energy needed me to be free of that trauma so it could integrate. And I just felt that happening as it just slowly going down. And right before, and like about 20 to 30 minutes before the interview, I felt a lot better. Still not great, but probably from a 1 or 2, I would say, to 1. Like when I woke up and was gardening, I was literally like, damn, I was really, really sick, right? Had like the ascension flu, we could call it, 1 or a 2. I went maybe up to a 6 or a 7, totally great place, I can really big, I was really grateful to feel so much better so quickly. Still went into the interview very ungrounded though, because I just still in this moment, guys, feel so rattled and like kind of shaken up, because it's just like when these crown chakra activations, as some of you know, when they happen, what you thought you knew kind of disappears for a while, right? And new type of insight or wisdom, I guess you could say, starts rooting in, starts crystallizing in. But there's that time in between where you're letting go of what you thought you knew while allowing the new download to come in. There's that time where you're kind of in the ethers with information, with knowledge. So that it was fascinating to do an interview from that place of not feeling rooted, not feeling grounded or centered at all. Really nervous and ungrounded, but still showing up, still doing the interview, and had a lot of energy. And Wendy Adams, the host, is an amazing host, and she made things as easy as it could be for me. And I just kept thinking the whole way through, like, gosh, I'm just not saying things how I'm used to saying them. I would try to, something would come up or would remind me of something I said on a video that I felt like would fit really good. And I would try to say it, but I just couldn't say it in the right way. And I think this is because, like I'm saying, I'm now kind of letting go of some things so that newer, higher maybe ideas can come in. And so as I was trying to go to my, the knowledge I had, the wisdom I had, as I tried to go to my, we'll just say, older ideas, they like weren't there in the same way. They were kind of, I was like grasping for air a lot in this interview, like really out on a limb, like where's the knowledge? I knew this before, why don't I know it now? And I think what was being taught to me in this interview was like, okay, it's time for you to let go of all of that and let the universe flow through unimpeded and just trust. And so it was a hard interview. It was really hard, so much different than this. I was super nervous and ungrounded, especially at the beginning. And I've never done anything like that before either. So that was definitely a huge learning experience. And so, yeah, I just kept thinking through the interview, like, gosh, I could say that so much better. But I'm pretty hard on myself sometimes. And at the end, Wendy said I did way better than I think I did. And I said, that kind of makes me feel good. And she asked if I wanted to do a weekly radio show with her. And she wants me to make a name for it. And we're just going to do a weekly radio show on lightwavesradio.com. And I just said yes when she asked. I didn't even consciously say yes, basically. She asked and I just said yes. It just it just came through me. I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to do that then. It was really something else. I mean, you ask Source to speak through you, it will happen. So, I mean, I think the interview was good. It was let me be real with you. I don't feel like it was near my best performance per se. But like Wendy said, maybe people needed to hear what I said just as I said it and not how I wish I would have said it, right? And I thought that was a really great insight. Like, yeah, that's really valuable. Maybe that's true. And then, yeah, so I don't think I did great, but I learned so much. I'm really happy with myself for doing it. And I know I'm looking forward to doing that kind of thing once a week because I feel like I can really be of service with that type of show as as I get more and more reps doing it. Of course, it will just get easier and easier, and me and Wendy will get we'll get this. We have good chemistry, but it will only deepen, right? We will only cultivate more of a familiarity and like a back and forth, so we can co-create something that will really help people. And that's what I love about Wendy the most. She is so oriented to service to others, and I just love that and admire that about her so thoroughly. And a great person for me to align my energies with what I'm creating here. So overall, great things like crown chakra activations, great thing. Clearing out old grids and fear patterns and old childhood wounds and traumas, great thing. Doing something for the first time that scares the shit out of you, walking into the unknown, awesome things, and forming a connection with someone who's amazing and loving and supportive, all amazing things, right? It's just sometimes even when you're doing great things, it can be really uncomfortable. And today was super uncomfortable from 3 a.m. on, and it's still uncomfortable. These crown chakra activations, like I might have said earlier in the video, they can take days, weeks, and sometimes months to really fully integrate. And the longer you've been on the path, and I would say the more inner work you're doing, meditating, etc., the shorter time that it'll take to integrate. My 2-hour meditations are really helpful for this type of thing. But I mean, when you're first awakening, it can take years sometimes to integrate, like your first massive kundalini opening or spiritual experience, right? So the key here is just a lot of compassion and patience and love, like always. And yeah, it's been a wild, energetic ride today. Really wild. And happy to be sharing this ride with you guys, because I know you're all going through your own ride, and it's really, talk about what I've been saying, these polarities, that's all it's been, just high and then low and then and really helping me to integrate and alchemize all of this. And I think I've been talking enough. I'll finish it here. I feel like with these meditations have really sped up my life in some ways, right? And so meditating, whenever you anything that sits still for a long period of time always evolves quickly, right? So sitting still for such long periods of times is bringing so much evolution into my experience, into my being. And I think this radio show is a reflection of that. And so when we're moving this fast, it can be really hard for the human at times. Like the crown chakra activations, the intense energetic integrations and experiences can be really hard for the human. So it's just really important when you guys are going through these intense times yourself, and when you're moving really fast, that you bring a lot of compassion and love to yourself, and know that you're never going to be perfect, and that you can't get it wrong. And today, a lot of my inner perfectionist fell away, because that radio show was not perfect, not even close. But I accept myself for it. I accept myself for how I did, because I did my best, right? And so yeah, I'm just gonna allow this energy to integrate even more. And I just want to say I appreciate all of you, and thank you for watching. I love you guys. And I will share links and everything to the show. It'll be once a week, so I'm sure I'll just start linking it in every video or whatever. Yeah, and if anyone has any ideas for a name, that'd be great. Her name's Wendy Adams. So if you can think of something, I have no idea. Other than that, day 74. I will see you tomorrow. Namaste.